Hello and welcome to Job Carr Cabin. I'm Miss Karen and I'm here to tell you a little bit about life on the Oregon Trail and in Washington Territory back in the middle of the 1800s. Now, music has always been an important part of humanity. Nowadays, people tend to put earbuds in and music is your own, but back in the day, music was something people did together. Now, what kind of instruments might you bring along in the Oregon Trail? Probably not room enough for a piano in that wagon, but you could bring something little like this Jew's harp or a Jaws harp. It's an ancient instrument. In some cultures in Asia, it's made out of wood. This one's made out of metal, and if you flick it here, doesn't make much sound. But as soon as you put it against your mouth, now word of warning, make sure you open your teeth before you try this. I'm not going to be responsible for dental bills. But you put it against your open teeth and your mouth works as an echo chamber. A silly sound, yeah, but you've been walking 20 miles picking up buffalo chips, so I think you'd probably be easily amused. Now, we know from Job Carr's writings and from writings of his kiddos that Job Carr had one of these. This is a dulcimer. There are two kinds of dulcimers. One's a hammer dulcimer. That's not this. This is a lap dulcimer, or Appalachian dulcimer, some people call it, and you strum the strings like this. And as you move your fingers up and down, it gets lower and higher. And if you really work on it, you can start playing songs. That's a song about how old Dan Tucker was a mighty man, washed his face in a frying pan, combed his hair with a wagon wheel, he died with a toothache in his heel. So get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way, old Dan Tucker, you're too late to get your supper. We don't know for sure, but perhaps that song was sung in this very cabin back in the 1800s. Now, if you didn't have one of those, maybe you had one of these. You might recognize it by its modern version of it. It's a banjo. But modern ones have kind of a wooden loop and there's usually metal involved. This, the back of it, is a vegetable. It's a gourd, kind of a cousin of a pumpkin. One side was cut off, they put some animal skin across it, and it has strings, and you'll find that it doesn't sound nearly as twangy with the gut strings as the modern version. And one song that was most likely sung by most wagon trains coming along the trail, that would have been a song that was new in 1848, Mr. Stephen Foster's song about coming from Alabama with a banjo on his knee. Oh, I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee, bound for Louisiana, my true love for to see. Rained all night the day I left, the weather it was dry, sun so hot I froze to death. Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me, for I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Well, Job Carr didn't come from Alabama, but he did journey out here to the Pacific Northwest, clear from Iowa. Now, another instrument you might have had as you travel along the Oregon Trail is this one right here. It's a concertina. You might know its modern cousin. That's an accordion. But an accordion has piano keys on one side, and this has buttons. Now, this is an Anglo concertina. Well, that just means that it makes one sound going out and another sound coming in. And maybe you might hear a song like this. You read in the journals, and there seemed to have been a lot of dancing around the campfires in the Oregon Trail. But maybe you might agree with me saying, how did they dance after they've been walking 10 to 20 miles on a given day? Well, maybe you could let Jack do the dancing. Some people call him a Limberjack, some people call him a Dancing Dan, or maybe you've even heard another name for him. But what you get is a toy that's also a percussion instrument. Get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way, old Dan Tucker, you're too late to get your supper. Well done, Jack.